And here we are back with segment 2 of the Remax Magnolia Real Estate Show with myself, Curtis Pope, and James Minchau. Now, we're talking about homesteading, farmsteading, but not having to go out in the middle of nowhere to do it.
That's right. I mean, I'm not talking about building a log cabin.
You could.
Buying a log cabin's good, or buying a home that's already made and making it your own, or finding an old home and turning it into something that suits you, and then ripping out the weeds out back and growing a massive garden. I mean, 4,000 square foot garden is huge. I mean, that's the back of a bigger lot, or the back of a normal lot even, out in, say, Mission Agassiz, even Abbotsford, Chilliwack. And putting the work in, if you look and you start reading about it now and start going on YouTube and looking up how to grow corn or how to grow anything, like we have fertile ground here, and people aren't taking the time. And I see so many yards with just, they're trying to grow old cars or something.
Yeah.
And they could be easily creating food for themselves and saving money. And then, now the price of food ain't so bad, because let's face it, the price of food has gotten out of control as far as I'm concerned.
It has. I mean, you get to see a few things start to come down a little bit, but it seems as some stuff comes down, other stuff goes up.
Exactly. And what we want down are seeds, and what we want up are plants.
Exactly.
Right?
Nice segue.
Thank you.
It's interesting, too, because in the valley, I mean, one thing we do, we have a lot of greenhouses out here, like industrial greenhouses, because we do get enough sun, and we get it doesn't get that cold where you can have a greenhouse in your backyard, too, and you can
all year round
making peppers or whatever as well.
That's the thing. Like, if we were in Edmonton, it's just too cold to run a greenhouse, I think.
I think so.
We'll have to check the facts on that one, but I'm pretty sure that the coldness really does affect it, and that's why people flock to the Fraser Valley for that kind of thing, is that we can grow in our greenhouse. So there's it's a great segue into farming, because I actually grew up on a farm. Like, I grew up on and we were talking at the break about the farms that we grew up on, or grew up near. But I had we had a horse farm, we had cattle, we had pigs on that farm. We didn't really grow a lot of crops, but we did have a massive garden. It was probably near 4,000 square feet. And guess who had to weed the garden?
I was going to say probably you.
Yeah, it was me. And so I got to weed the garden. Who will help me bake my bread moment? But you didn't appreciate it as a 17-year-old kid having to pick the hay but when it came time to having milk, having eggs, and having the food on the table, I do appreciate that now for sure. And so having that sort of experience allows me to go out into the world and find some of my clients properties that will suit them for that, because I do know about land, and I do know about farming, and I do know about this stuff. And I was the guy who had to go muck out the stalls and take the tractor to the back and make a burn pile, or make a compost pile in the back. So
yeah, for me it was mainly helping my uncles irrigate the berries and things like that, and put the irrigation stuff out.
That's cool.
But that was me when I was a kid. Like
I always
12,
wanted
13,
to do
14.
that, like putting. Is it like putting Lego together?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
a little bit.
It looks fun.
And then a little bit, feeding the pigs or whatever else. Or
yeah.
I didn't have to do the hardcore mucking out the stalls and stuff like that, though. That fun stuff. But I have tossed a few hay bales in my day.
I like haying. Richard and I used to throw hay every summer for.
It's a good workout,
Mr. Ormel out in the Glen Valley. There, it was a great workout. I remember all day throwing bales, and they're just feeling so strong. And I kind of want to do it right now.
We'd hurt ourselves if we tried throwing some hay bales right now.
You think so?
We'd be out 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. But yeah, I mean, having somebody who knows about farming, it's really important to have somebody who's on the lookout for something like that, who knows about farming, help you find a piece of land for that. And so anybody else who's looking for even a small farm, like a residential lot that you want a garden on, give me a shout.
And, of course, that's one of the nice things about the valley, too. We have a lot of decent-sized lots, especially if you head into just a little outside of the city in Mission or Abbotsford or Chilliwack.
Yeah.
You're going to get a good-sized lot where you can put together a 3,000-4,000 square foot garden, perhaps, and really not be losing too much of your property.
Yeah, you don't you still want to have, your grass out front or something. But honestly, I've seen a lot of great looking houses in my own neighborhood that has the garden in the front yard. Maybe because it's south facing or something, and the north facing won't. And it doesn't look terrible from the street as long as it's a nice ordered garden, and it's feeding you. It's not offensive to your neighbors as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I mean, you go back to World War II in England, where, of course, they were having food shortages. They were picking up any bit of proproperty they could to make potatoes, to make whatever. They were farming every little bit of land they possibly could around London.
Well, you can farm in your house too. Like if you have a basement, you can literally grow.
I don't want to know where you're going with this.
We're talking about eating stuff.
I know, but you're still scaring me a little bit here.
You can grow edible mushrooms in your home.
It's a lot of moisture, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you build a manifold where air comes in, air goes out, and so there's like I know in my basement there's a corner that's all cement all the way to the top, poly. You're building like basically a small mushroom grow up. In your house, the air comes in, air goes out. You make sure mushrooms need a lot of moisture, so you can in those spots that you're usually just throwing junk, you can be producing food. You can be producing things that will actually help your life in these spots. I'm
sure there's YouTube videos to help you with that. There's YouTube videos for everything.
For everything, yes. There's YouTube videos on how to talk on the radio.
I should probably watch those.
I'll give you the URLs for those.
I appreciate that.
I have to listen to them every time I come here, so I don't sound like a complete fool.
Well, it hasn't helped me yet.
Oh, I think you're doing all right. But I mean, the homesteading life, it's getting very popular, like the bushcraft homesteading. This is really popular, and it's, you can see it in TV shows where people are starting to
Mountain Men's one of my favorite TV series.
Exactly.
I love Mountain Men.
And then you go on YouTube, and there's some fantastic ones.
Outdoor Boys. I love those guys.
Yeah. I have a client right now who I've got the listing on their house. Well, they bought just a chunk of land that was nothing and had to clear the trees and had to plant the grass, and they're ready to put their cattle up there and had to build their house, and they've been filming this. And anyone who wants to take a look at that, just ping me, jamesminchau.com or jamesminchau@gmail.com. I can give you the link to that. And they have an episode structure, and they're building that. And
very cool.
Yeah. And so it's but it's really popular right now. And building on that popularity, people are starting to actually want to do this for real. And it's partly out of need, but it's partly out of like, what if we're the more we rely on technology, the more we think we shouldn't rely on technology, and maybe we should get our ham radio license, and maybe we should get we should learn how to hunt. We should learn how to grow our own food. Can you dig a well? So this is what sort of prompted me today to talk about this, because doing that in the middle of Vancouver or the middle of Burnaby is going to be kind of tough. So if that's your dream, is to live off the land, you gotta come east, young men and young women.
This is true.
And bring the wagon out this way, right?
Now you've actually got some potential homestead properties, housestead, farm kind of things going on right now.
Like places that you could actually do this. Well, my largest one, and we were just talking about them, is on 41056 Belrose Road in Abbotsford. This is they've already homesteaded this place. It's ready for. It's got it's probably got a 4,000 square foot garden. It's got. They've got cattle in there. They've got a 4,100 square foot home. And if you have a business, you can put your business in the 6,000 square foot industrial shop. This place is huge, and it's gorgeous, and it's ready for homesteading. And it's far away from the city, so you feel like you've gotten away. And
you've got a great video of that one too.
I have some, and there might be a little show coming. So. I'm winking at the camera for those who weren't looking at the camera.
He was winking.
Go to the
YouTube feed, you'll see.
Yeah, butterfly kisses, we're calling them. And then in Langley, If you don't want to go so far out, I have a fantastic place in Langley. It's a log home. It's on 1.76 acres. There's plenty of space to build. I don't know the bylaws for chickens in that particular area, but I heard some. So talk to me about it if you're interested. But that place, you can have a massive garden on, and it's 12 minutes from Langley. It's like a 2 minutes or 2 seconds basically from the 232nd freeway exit. And that one's at 32133 70A Avenue. And then finally, I don't have an address for this one because it's in my pocket, but there's something coming up in the Lake Arrock area of Mission that I'm working on now. That's 5 acres. It's on a hillside, but it's not very steep, and it's ripe for anyone who wants to homestead. It's ready to just do whatever you want, clearing or thinning out the trees, building your super private area. Nobody can see you on this property, and that one's sort of a coming up, if you will. And that one's in the Lake Arrock area of Mission. There's no address because I don't want you going there and bugging them without my face on a sign outside there yet.
That seems fair.
Yeah, fair enough, right?
That seems fair. Mm-hmm. All right, well, if people want information about all these properties and other properties you have, maybe for the folks that aren't trying to homestead or farm, I know you have
or you're trying to do an apartment homestead.
Got a very small garden on your balcony.
That's right. You may want to go to jamesminchau.com and check out the listings there. But if you need to see everyone's stuff and so much more, I urge you, please go to remaxmagnoliarealty.com and check out everything we have to offer there.
All right, we're good to go until next time.
All right, Curtis, you're amazing.
And join us again next week when we will talk real estate in order to unlock your real estate potential on a show where real estate is maximized. Thanks for listening.